Hello and welcome to today's July 20th daily news report, as well as ongoing stimulus check package information video. If you're a subscribed member of my community, then welcome back. And if you're not, consider subscribing right now so I can keep you up to date on what's going on in Washington, D.C., what's going on in the U.S. economy, money, investing, and much, much more. All right, now don't forget that Casey and I are giving away over $3,000 in prizes and cash. There's going to be 24 winners. 12 will win an amazing hat, and 12 are going to win $250 in cash, and I can't wait to give that money away. What I won't be giving away is my phone number to text me via YouTube. Never text anyone on YouTube. They're always a scammer. All right, now 31 Republican lawmakers have sent a letter to the Inspector General's office inside the Department of Labor to launch an investigation into PPP and unemployment fraud. Before the letter was even sent, the Department of Labor has started the process of doing a full-scale audit of the funds used during the lockdown. It's believed that at minimum, at least $100 billion of unemployment money was received fraudulently, and close to $70 billion used fraudulently from the PPP money. Now, the Department of Labor admitted in an Axios interview that they haven't felt support to determine if there was fraud. However, the support is there now, and one person interviewed said he believed that the fraud could be as high as $400 billion. Now, to give you an idea of how big that is, that's enough to send 4 or 5 stimulus checks to about 25 million Americans. The money used in PPP and unemployment could end up being one of the biggest cases of fraud in the entire world. Whenever free money is given out, there's always going to be fraud involved, and they're saying it was on a massive scale, okay? Now, I know many in my community found themselves needing unemployment or in need of PPP money. The biggest fraud they are saying is people that used stolen identities. So unless you stole somebody's identity to get unemployment, you don't need to worry about somebody busting through your door and arresting you if you were on unemployment, okay? Now, another big area of concern, according to this source, is money that was sent overseas. Now, they didn't give a dollar amount, but it sounds like they're worried about it being in the tens of billions of dollars, right? So where did that money go? It was sent overseas and never came back, right? It's pretty crazy to think how much fraud there could have been in all of this stimulus money. Now, regarding the $3.5 trillion social infrastructure bill, or the American Families Plan, Senator Bernie Sanders said, "This budget reconciliation bill is the most consequential piece of legislation since the 1930s. So in his mind, this is the biggest way to change America since the 1930s. Now, last night, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said he is calling for a vote on the American Jobs Plan on Wednesday, this Wednesday, July 21st. Schumer believes he can get the 60 votes needed to push this deal through on a bipartisan basis. Republicans say, we are all for playing ball, but this is very rushed, and we don't have anything in writing. Since when do we vote on bills that aren't in writing? This is backwards. Now, the fourth stimulus check and all the other stimulus programs people like Bernie Sanders have said will change America and lift the middle class are all expected to be included in the American Families Plan. So none of that can move forward until the American Jobs Plan has passed. And it's for this reason, I believe, that Senator Schumer wants to get the debate started. Schumer believes he can get this across the finish line with support, but admits Republicans, especially Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, have been awfully quiet on the topic. McConnell said, "Of course we've been quiet. What's there to debate or discuss until a bill is in writing?" McConnell also said, "We need to see the bill before voting to go to it." I think this is pretty easily understood. So basically, McConnell is saying, hey, listen, this isn't rocket science. If there's nothing in writing, there's nothing to debate. So, of course, we've been quiet on the topic. Now, Democrat Senator Tester agreed he'd like to see the bill in writing before voting, but perhaps this vote will put some pressure for blank to get done. Blank is a swear word, but this is a PG show, right? All right, so he believes that blank will get done by putting pressure on his own Democrat Party to push this thing through. Now, President Biden said Monday that he is pleased with the progress being made and that it will change the country. This is what he had to say. This is a blue-collar blueprint for building an American economy back. Simply put, we can't afford not to make these investments. Now, we're going to pay for them responsibly, as well by ensuring that our largest corporations, the very wealthiest among us, pay their fair share. So Biden is basically echoing back to things he said in the past. Tax the corporations, tax the wealthy, okay? Now, at this point, the $1.2 trillion physical infrastructure bill is just basically pulling together the loose ends. It's the $3.5 trillion that Democrats need to debate and decide how to pay for. Now, I want to be clear with my community. 80 plus members of Congress want a fourth stimulus check. 25 million Americans would really benefit from a fourth stimulus check. Democrats went from a $1.7 trillion stimulus package up to a $3.5 trillion stimulus package. So they added $1.8 trillion in wiggle room. So there's plenty of room for a fourth stimulus check. However, I just want to be clear, it doesn't mean that they're going to add one, okay? Now, these videos are meant as daily updates, Monday through Friday, progress reports, right? News on what's going on in Washington, D.C. So I just want to be very clear that I'm not guaranteeing that a fourth stimulus check is going to happen. I just want my community to know what's going on in the news. And I wanted to be clear about that because they could very easily put a $2,000 stimulus check in for about 25 million Americans. 1.8 trillion is a massive jump in budget. So I'm really hoping that they will. But what I don't want to do is overhype this topic or lead you to believe that this is a done deal or guaranteed, right? Like I can't tell you what the Democrats are going to do in this $3.5 trillion spending bill. I just wanted to address that because I get that question a lot. Do you think this will happen? Can you guarantee it? And my answer is, I think it will happen. And no, I can't guarantee that it will happen, right? I'm not in Congress, but 80 people in Congress do want to see that. All right, now, Health and Human Service Secretary Xavier Becerra sent a letter to Congress letting them know that he needs them to release $860 million from the $1.9 trillion stimulus package passed in March so that he can use it to deal with people the government is housing that have illegally crossed the border. The government is currently spending around $80 million a week on hotels and food to keep families that have made it into the country safe. Okay, now this is taxpayer money that they're using. Meanwhile, we can't get the government to use a dime of the $600 billion sitting in Washington, D.C. to do a stimulus check for 25 million Americans that are on the verge of falling back into poverty. So there's definitely two messages coming out of Washington, D.C. Our borders are closed, and yet they keep accepting people, and there's no money, and yet they're giving money to people that are illegally entering the country. So these are big topics that I believe deserve attention, especially because many of you come to hear what's going on, right? I try to read what's going on the right, what's going on the left, and give you in the middle what's going on. By the way, I just want to say thank you guys so much for giving these videos a like. I really, really appreciate that, and I hope you guys enjoy receiving the news. All right, now one of President Biden's top White House advisors is in the media for being a hypocrite to the White House agenda. It was discovered that Susan Rice, while pushing for Green New Deals and climate change and supporting the closing of key pipelines, was quietly holding $2.7 million in Enbridge oil stock. Now, the Office of Government Ethics found out about those stock holdings and is forcing Miss Rice to liquidate her position, saying that it is unethical to be pushing to close down oil businesses while reaping millions of dollars from oil businesses. So while publicly vilifying oil and Pipeline 3 and encouraging President Biden to close the Keystone Pipeline, Miss Rice was holding oil stocks that directly benefited from the closure of the Keystone Pipeline and higher price per barrel of oil. Now, this didn't really shock me because there's a lot of hypocrisy in Washington, D.C. What really shocked me was that there is an Office for Government Ethics. Who knew, right? All right, now on a side note, I really like oil and gas companies and have not been shy about that. I also really like electric vehicle companies, and I own solar panels on my own house. So I believe that there's a combination of oil and renewable energy that can take place. Now, on a side note, Enbridge is trading for around $37 a share. It's projected to move up to $44 a share, and it's currently paying over 6% annual as a dividend, okay? Now, that's just a side note because I also talk about money. Enbridge is a company that I'm actually looking at investing in, alongside PAA and Energy Transfer and some others that I own. Now, the stock market is green today, meaning that it is going up. The stocks have been through 2 weeks of lows because of confidence and fear. This started around July 4th. If you've been dollar cost averaging into the stock market, now is a good time to be buying because many stocks have actually rolled back to where they were trading in March or April of this year, and they will likely start that upward trend again. I'll be doing a separate video on that very, very soon, so watch for that. Now, yesterday, hundreds of migrants tried to push their way through the border gates on the Texas-Mexico border. Texas Sheriff, Border Patrol, and different states' National Guards were all on the scene to keep the gates closed. According to sources, there are thousands of people at the border every single day trying to find their way into the country. It is believed that over 1 million people have illegally entered the country in 2021. The crisis at the border is real and growing, but seems to be getting less and less attention in the media. Maybe this is a media cover-up, or maybe the country's just okay with people sneaking into the country on taxpayer dollars. Either way, it was in the news today, and I wanted to bring that to your attention. All right, now for a wild story to end today's update. You might want to go through stuff in your house as you might be sitting on piles of money and not know it. Recently, a rare unopened copy of the 1987 Legends of Zelda was found in a home. The game was put up for auction. Video game enthusiasts with too much money went wild, and the Legends of Zelda game sold for $870,000. Oh my gosh. You guys, you might be sitting on piles of money at your house and don't know it, okay? Now, I'm curious to know, did you own Legends of Zelda or play it growing up? I know for a fact, I personally spent hundreds of hours playing Zelda, but never would have guessed if I had held on to that baby that it might be worth $870,000 in the future. Now, in April of this year, a sealed copy of the original Mario Brothers game sold for $660,000. So again, look around your house. If you're struggling for money, you may be sitting on piles of money in the form of things that people would want to buy, and you just don't know it. All right, now during the lockdown, I was actually able to buy a modified original Nintendo for around $100. And it has the Legends of Zelda on there. So I saved myself $869,900. Whew. All right, now a lot is going on in Washington, D.C. I haven't seen this much information coming out on a daily basis in several months now. So do tune in every day as I continue to give you progress reports and update you on what's going on. We've got to get the American Jobs Plan passed so that they can work on the American Families Plan. I don't know what's in either one of them, and neither do you, and neither do politicians. So that's what needs to come out. Chuck Schumer is saying the vote has to happen tomorrow. So lots of big news is going to be coming out. Now, this is my update for today. As I know more, I'll definitely come on and share more. I'm going to be coming on later this week with some information about houses, apartments, money, investing, some stock picks, and some updates on stocks that I've talked about in the past. So definitely watch for those videos. Before you go, make sure to sign up to be one of the winners of over $3,000 in cash and prizes. Before you go, I just wish to remind you that you are amazing and tell you how much I appreciate you being in my community. I'll see you on the next video.